The Gospel of the Holy 12, Chapter 6, paragraphs 7 to 9. And on a certain day the child Yeshua came to a place where a snare was set for birds, and there were some boys there. And Yeshua said to them, Who hath set this snare for the innocent creatures of God? Behold, in a snare shall they in like manner be caught. And he beheld 12 sparrows as it were dead. And he moved his hands over them and said to them, Go, fly away, and while ye live remember me. And they arose and fled away, making a noise. And the Jews, seeing this, were astonished and told it unto the priests. And other wonders did the child, and flowers were seen to spring up beneath his feet, where there had been naught but barren ground before, and his companions stood in awe of him. Chapter 14, paragraphs 6 to 8. And as Yeshua was going with some of his disciples, he met with a certain man who trained dogs to hunt other creatures, and he said to the man, Why doest thou thus? And the man said, By this I live, and what profit is there to any in these creatures? These creatures are weak, but the dogs they are strong. And Yeshua said, Thou lackest wisdom and love. Lo, every creature which God hath made hath its end and purpose, and who can say what good is there in it, or what profit to thyself or mankind? And for thy living, behold, the fields yielding their increase, and the fruit-bearing trees, and the herbs. What needest thou more than these, which honest work of thy hands will not give to thee? Woe to the strong who misuse their strength. Woe to the hunters, for they shall be hunted. And the man marveled, and left off training the dogs to hunt, and taught them to save life rather than destroy. And he learned of the doctrines of Yeshua and became his disciple. Chapter 21, paragraphs 1 to 10. And it came to pass that the Lord departed from the city and went over the mountains with his disciples. And they came to a mountain whose ways were steep, and there they found a man with a beast of burden. But the horse had fallen down, for it was overladen, and he struck it till the blood flowed. And Jesus went to him and said, Son of cruelty, why strikest thou thy beast? Seest thou not that it is too weak for its burden? And knowest thou not that it suffereth? But the man answered and said, What hast thou to do therewith? I may strike it as much as it pleaseth me. For it is mine own, and I bought it with a goodly sum of money. Ask them who are with thee, for they are of mine acquaintance, and know thereof. And some of the disciples answered and said, Yes, Lord, it is as he saith. We have seen when he bought it. And the Lord said again, See ye not then how it bleedeth, and hear ye not also how it waileth and lamenteth? But they answered and said, Nay, Lord, we hear not that it waileth and lamenteth. And the Lord was sorrowful and said, Woe unto you because of the dullness of your hearts! Ye hear not how it lamenteth and crieth unto the heavenly Creator for mercy, but thrice woe unto him against whom it crieth and waileth in its pain. And he went forward and touched it, and the horse stood up, and its wounds were healed. But to the man he said, Go now thy way, and strike it henceforth no more, if thou also desireth to find mercy. And seeing the people come unto him, Yeshua said unto his disciples, Because of the sick I am sick, because of the hungry I am hungry, because of the thirsty I am athirst. He also said, I am come to end the sacrifices and feasts of blood, and if ye cease not offering and eating of flesh and blood, the wrath of God shall not cease from you, even as it came to your fathers in the wilderness, who lusted for flesh, and they eat to their content, and were filled with rottenness, and the plague consumed them. And I say unto you, though you be gathered together in my bosom, if ye keep not my commandments, I will cast you forth. For if ye keep not the lesser mysteries, who shall give you the greater? He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. Chapter 24. As Yeshua passed through a certain village, he saw a crowd of idlers of the baser sort, and they were tormenting a cat which they had found, and shamefully treating it. And Yeshua commanded them to desist and began to reason with them, but they would have none of his words and reviled him. Then he made a whip of knotted cords and drove them away, saying, "This earth which my father, mother made for joy and gladness, you have made it into the lowest hell with your deeds of violence and cruelty." And they fled before his face. But one more vile than the rest returned and defied him, and Yeshua put forth his hand, and the young man's arm withered. And a great fear came upon all, and one said, "He is a sorcerer." And the next day the mother of the young man came unto Yeshua, praying that he would restore the withered arm. And Yeshua spake unto them of the law of love, and the unity of all life in the one family of God. And he also said, "As ye do in this life to your fellow creatures, so shall it be done unto you in the life to come." And the young man believed and confessed his sins, and Yeshua stretched forth his hand, and his withered arm became whole, even as the other. And the people glorified God, who had given such power unto man. Chapter 25. Yeshua, seeing the multitudes, went up into a mountain, and when he was seated, the 12 came unto him, and he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, "Blessed in spirit are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they who do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Yes, blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy. For behold, your reward is great in heaven, for in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Woe unto you that are rich, for you have received in this life your consolation. Woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. Chapter 28. It came to pass one day, as Yeshua had finished his discourse in a place near Tiberias, where there are 7 wells, a certain young man brought live rabbits and pigeons, that he might have to eat with his disciples. And Yeshua looked on the young man with love, and said to him, "Thou hast a good heart, and God shall give thee light. But knowest thou not that God in the beginning gave to man the fruits of the earth for food, and did not make him lower than the ox, or the horse, or the sheep, that he should kill and eat the flesh and blood of his fellow creatures? You believe that Moses indeed commanded such creatures to be slain and offered in sacrifice and eaten. And so do ye in the temple, but behold, a greater than Moses is herein, and he cometh to put away the bloody sacrifices of the law, and the feasts on them, and to restore to you the pure oblation and unbloody sacrifice as in the beginning, even the grains and fruits of the earth. Of that which ye offer unto God in purity shall ye eat, but of that kind which ye offer not in purity shall ye not eat. For the hour cometh when your sacrifices and feasts of blood shall cease, and ye shall worship God with the holy worship and the pure oblation. Let these creatures therefore go free, that they may rejoice in God and bring no guilt to man. And the young man set them free, and Yeshua brake their cages and their bonds. Chapter 31. Paragraph 12. And Yeshua was traveling to Jerusalem, and there came a camel heavy laden with wood, and the camel could not drag it up the hill, whether he went for the weight thereof. And the driver beat him and cruelly ill-treated him, but he could make him go no further. And Yeshua, seeing this, said unto him, "Wherefore beatest thou thy brother?" And the man answered, "I wot not that he is my brother. Is he not a beast of burden and made to serve me?" And Yeshua said, "Hath not the same God made of the same substance the camel and thy children who serve thee? And have ye not one breath of life, which ye have both received from God? And the man marveled much at this saying, and he ceased from beating the camel, and took off some of the burden, and the camel walked up the hill as Yeshua went before him, and stopped no more till he ended his journey. And the camel knew Yeshua, having felt of the love of God in him. And the man inquired further of the doctrine, and Yeshua taught him gladly, and he became his disciple. Chapter 33. Yeshua was teaching his disciples in the outer court of the temple, and one of them said unto him, Master, it is said by the priests that without shedding of blood there is no remission. Can then the blood offering of the law take away sin? And Yeshua answered, No blood offering of beast or bird or man can take away sin. For how can the conscience be purged from sin by the shedding of innocent blood? Nay, it will increase the condemnation. Chapter 34. And as Yeshua entered into a certain village, he saw a young cat which had none to care for her, and she was hungry, and cried unto him. And he took her up, and put her inside his garment, and she lay in his bosom. And when he came into the village, he set food and drink before the cat, and she ate and drank, and showed thanks unto him. And he gave her unto one of his disciples, who was a widow, whose name was Lorenza, and she took care of her. And some of the people said, This man careth for all creatures. Are they his brothers and sisters, that he should love them? And he said unto them, Verily, these are your fellow creatures of the great household of God. Yes, they are your brethren and sisters, having the same breath of life in the eternal. And whosoever careth for one of the least of these, and giveth it to eat and drink in its need, the same doeth it unto me. And whoso willingly suffereth one of these to be in want, and defendeth it not when evilly entreated, suffereth the evil as done unto me. For as ye have done in this life, so shall it be done unto you in the life to come. Chapter 38. And some of his disciples came and told him of a certain Egyptian, a son of Belial, who taught that it was lawful to torment animals if their sufferings brought any profit to men. And Yeshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, they who partake of benefits which are gotten by wronging one of God's creatures cannot be righteous, nor can they touch holy things, or teach the mysteries of the kingdom, whose hands are stained with blood, or whose mouths are defiled with flesh. God giveth the grains and the fruits of the earth for food, and for righteous man truly there is no other lawful sustenance for the body. The robber who breaketh into the house made by man is guilty, but they who break into the house made by God, even of the least of these are the greater sinners. Wherefore I say unto all who desire to be my disciples, keep your hands from bloodshed, and let no flesh meat enter your mouths. For God is just and bountiful, who ordaineth that man shall live by the fruits and seeds of the earth alone. But if any animal suffer greatly, and if its life be a misery unto it, or if it be dangerous to you, release it from its life quickly, and with as little pain as you can. Send it forth in love and mercy, but torment it not. And God the Father, Mother, will show mercy unto you, as you have shown mercy unto those given into your hands. And whatsoever you do unto the cast of these my children, you do it unto me, for I am in them, and they are in me. Yes, I am in all creatures, and all creatures are in me. In all their joys I rejoice, in all their afflictions I am afflicted. Wherefore I say unto you, be ye kind one to another, and to all the creatures of God. Chapter 41. And as Yeshua was going to Jericho, there met him a man with a cage full of birds, which he had caught, and some young doves. And he saw how they were in misery, having lost their liberty, and moreover, being tormented with hunger and thirst. And he said unto the man, What doest thou with these? And the man answered, I go to make my living by selling these birds which I have taken. And Yeshua said, What thinkest thou? If another, stronger than thou, or with greater craft, were to catch thee, and bind thee, or thy wife, or thy children, and cast thee into a prison, in order to sell thee into captivity for his own profit, and to make a living, are not these thy fellow creatures only weaker than thou? And doth not the same God, our Father, Mother, care for them as for thee? Let these thy little brethren and sisters go forth into freedom, and see that thou do this thing no more, but provide honestly for thy living. And the man marveled at these words and at his authority, and he let the birds go free. So when the birds came forth, they flew unto Jesus and stood on his shoulder and sang unto him. And the man inquired further of his doctrine, and he went his way and learnt the craft of making baskets. And by this craft he earned his bread, and afterwards he broke his cages and his traps and became a disciple of Jesus. Yeshua. Chapter 46, paragraph 7. And Yeshua said unto them, Behold, a new law I give unto you, which is not new, but old. Even as Moses gave the 10 commandments to Israel after the flesh, so also I give unto you the 12 for the kingdom of Israel after the Spirit. For who are the Israel of God? Even they of every nation and tribe who work righteousness, love mercy, and keep my commandments. These are the true Israel of God. And standing upon his feet, Yeshua spoke, saying, Hear, O Israel, Yehovah, thy God is one. Many are my seers and my prophets. In me all live and move, and have subsistence. You shall not take away the life of any creature for your pleasure, nor for your profit, nor yet torment it. You shall not steal the goods of any, nor gather lands and riches to yourselves beyond your need or use. You shall not eat the flesh, nor drink the blood of any slaughtered creature, nor yet anything which bringeth disorder to your health or senses. You shall not make impure marriages where love and health are not, nor yet corrupt yourselves or any creature made pure by the holy. You shall not bear false witness against any, nor wilfully deceive any by a lie to hurt them. You shall not do unto others as you would not that others should do unto you. You shall worship one eternal, the Father, Mother in heaven, of whom are all things, and reverence the holy name. You shall revere your fathers and your mothers on earth, whose care is for you and all the teachers of righteousness. You shall cherish and protect the weak, and those who are oppressed, and all creatures that suffer wrong. You shall work with your hands the things that are good and seemly, so shall ye eat the fruits of the earth and live long in the land. You shall purify yourselves daily, and rest the 7th day from labor, keeping holy the Sabbaths and the festival of your God. You shall do unto others as you would that others should do unto you. Chapter 71. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Yeshua went up again from Bethany into Jerusalem, and he found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of 7 cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and loosed the sheep, and the oxen, and the doves, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them, Take these things hence, make not my Father's house an house of merchandise. Is it not written, My house is a house of prayer for all nations? But you have made it a den of thieves, and filled it with all manner of abominations. And he would not suffer that any man should carry any vessel of blood through the temple, or that any animals should be slain. And the disciples remembered that it was written, Zeal for thine house hath eaten me up. Chapter 86. The same day, at the time of sacrifice in the temple, there appeared among the dealers in beasts and in birds one clothed in white raiment, bright as light, and in his hand a whip of 7 cords. And at the sight of him, those who sold and bought fled in terror, and some of them fell as dead men, for they remembered how before his death, Jesus, Yeshua, had driven them away from the temple enclosure in like manner. And some declared that they had seen a spirit, and others that they had seen him who was crucified, and that he had risen from the dead. And the sacrifices ceased that day in the temple, for all were in fear, and none could be had to sell or to buy, but rather they let their captives go free. And the priests and elders caused a report to be spread that they who had seen it were drunken and had seen nothing, but many affirmed that they had seen him with their own eyes, and felt on their backs the scourge, but were powerless to resist. For when some of the bolder among them put forth their hands, they could not seize the form which they beheld, nor grasp the whip which chastised them. And from that time, though these believed in Yeshua, that he was sent from God to deliver the oppressed and free those that were bound, and they turned from their ways and sinned no longer. To others he also appeared in love and mercy, and healed them by his touch, and delivered them from the hands of the persecutor. And many like things were reported of him, and many said, Of a truth the kingdom is come. And some of those who had slept and risen when Yeshua rose from the dead appeared and were seen by many in the holy city. And great fear fell upon the wicked, but light and gladness came to the righteous in heart.